Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kristana. If you are new here, hit the subscribe button. Tell them, hit the subscribe button. If you're not new here, welcome back friends and family. This is Stanley. He is one of my new pups. We've had him for, how long have we had you? For about a month. He is a little puggle, but he does not have the mask like the typical puggle does. Hi. Yeah, so anyways, this is Stanley. He is one of the newer members of our family. And we are going to work on this buffet today. So we're gonna work on this buffet back here. It's a mahogany buffet. There was velvet in here, so I will show you because I videoed it. There was velvet in the top drawer, which I pulled out. We've got some damage right here. So I'm gonna show you guys how we'll pull these out and plug them. And then we're gonna probably just put stop pull or drawer pulls, or we're gonna probably just put pulls on here and do some magnets. But I am going to be decoupaging on this, and I have been waiting to use this beautiful paper. So this paper is from Deborah Booker Designs. Don't eat it. And we're going to use this on this piece. I think it's perfect. It's gonna be the perfect size. So I'm gonna show you guys how you can decoupage and kind of blend, and we're going to just do something beautiful on this piece. So that's what we'll be doing. And here's our other baby. This is Rupert. He looks a lot more like Cannon, which is our baby that we lost a few months back. So these two boys are our new babies, and they're both puggles, and I have my hands full. But if you guys want to see this makeover, just stay here. The top drawer of this buffet had a felt liner in it, and I wanted to take it out, so I took some warm water and I poured it into the drawer. What you would do with this is you would pour it into the drawer and then you would pour all the excess water out. In this case, all the water soaked into the felt, and I let it sit there for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then it easily came out. So a lot of times what they used to do back in the day when they would put felt liner in is they would use animal hide glue, and that was how they would put the felt in the drawers. What you're wanting to do is melt that, and usually it will pull right out. If it doesn't, you can use a scraper and you can scrape it out. And then what I did is I cleaned the drawer out and then waited for it to completely dry, and then I sanded it the best that I could because there were a few stains, and then I used a wood conditioner and it was like new. I'm going to remove all the hardware. I really am not sure what direction I want to go with this piece, but I don't know that these pulls are going to stay on here. So I'm just going to remove everything before I go in and show you guys how to plug these previous lock holes. Okay, so this buffet has doors, and the doors have locks for keys. Well, I don't have the keys, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the locks, I'm going to plug these holes, and then I'm gonna just put some magnet stops on these on the inside and just do hardware. First step is to take a mini screwdriver and unscrew from the inside of the door where we have that screwed in, the lock, and then you're going to pop the lock out, pull it out, and then what I did is I went to Lowe's and I got a piece of lumber. So this is where you'll find it in the, if you look for 1x4s and things like that, they will have this other dimensional lumber that you can put in. So this one I think was maybe a 1/2 inch wide. And so you're going to put it in there, hammer it in, and then I took an oscillating tool. You could do a handsaw if you want. And what this does is it helps fill more of the space. So that way when I use my Bondo, which is what I'm using right now, I don't have to fill as much of a void by putting that piece of wood in there. Sometimes you see people do that with areas where they use dowels to fill stuff. So that's what we're doing here for the locks. And then I'm just going to push the Bondo into all the areas that need to be filled, and I'm going to smooth it over. And then I will, once it's completely dry, I'm going to sand it. I'm going to start with an 80 grit and go to a 120 grit and just smooth that. So that way when we paint over it, you will not even know that there was a lock there before. I took my 3x4 electric ray and I have a high grit sandpaper on here, and I'm just gonna go over these brass feet just so I can clean them up a little bit. I don't want them to be perfect because this is gonna be rustic, but at least clean them up just a little bit so they add a pop of character. The front of this piece is perfect for this piece of decoupage paper. So this decoupage paper is from Deborah Bucher Designs, and it's just beautiful. I love horses. If you guys know anything about me, you know I love horses. So what I'm gonna do is use Jolie's varnish and my Kristana Trust the Process brush. There are so many uses for this brush, and one of them is decoupage. So I am going to put this varnish down first, and it's going to act as almost a glue to hold my paper in. A lot of people use different things. I'm just using this for this particular project. So I'm gonna lay it down, and then I'm gonna put my decoupage paper there. I am wearing gloves so that way I can rub the paper and smooth it. I'm gonna start from the center, and I'm gonna try to work my way out while I'm pushing most of the wrinkles and air bubbles out of this paper, and I am smoothing things out with the brush. Now I actually want some wrinkles in this paper because I'm trying to make it rustic, but if I didn't want wrinkles in this paper, then I would probably work a little bit slower and really focus on getting all of the wrinkles out, and I would go over it with saran wrap and just rub all of the wrinkles out, but I wanted some in there. So that is what I'm doing with the brush, is I am gently going over the top of this piece and just pushing most everything out. And I'm going to allow this paper to completely dry. And then I will just do one more thin coat of the varnish over top of it just for extra protection. You can do this after it's dry, or you can wait until it is starting to dry, but I am taking an X-Acto knife and I'm making sure that my blade is brand new, and I'm just gently sawing at each edge. And then later on what I'll do is, once it's completely dry, I am going to sand it so that I can clean up those edges. Now, on either side of this decoupage paper, I need to be able to blend this paper into the rest of the piece. So I am laying down a base coat of a color called Dark Ages by I Love Hue Paint, and that is going to be my base for when we start going in and blending. I will be using I Love Hue Paint, and I am using the colors Olive Hue, Golden Lampstand, which is Lotus Theory Designs collection, and then I'm using Worn Leather, and then I'm going to use Bronze Green, and then the final color I'm going to use is called Vintage Lace, and that is by Pink Magnolia Designs, and we're going to use all those colors to blend that right side. So the first thing I'm going to do is add Worn Leather over top of that Dark Ages, and I'm going to stipple it, and then I'm going to do some circles, and then I'm going to dry brush. I'm using a cheap chip brush. I do not want you to worry about getting bristles on this piece that are falling out from the brushes, because I am going to sand this after, and that is going to get rid of the bristles. So you can use a high quality brush if you want, but I really like using this cheap chip brush, which is a larger one, because I am going to cross contaminate it. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to dip this brush in the Worn Leather. I'm going to dip it in the other color, Golden Lampstand, then I'm going to dip it in the other color, and so I'm going to use the same brush for this entire process. I also don't wait in between to layer these, so I am layering these over top of each other and doing circles so that we can do a cloudy blend, and that way we can work with the moisture of each color, and that way we can create a match to that paper. Once I'm done with the brush, I take my hands and I go to the edge where the paper ends, and I kind of go in circles and pull, almost smear the paint over the paper so that way I can create a more seamless look. And then I'm going to take a shop towel, you can take a paper towel, and I'm going to dab it all over the piece so that way we can create a little bit of texture frottage look. Once it's completely dry, I do take my 3x4 electric ray and I take a high grit sandpaper and I smooth everything. And I also do this so that I can create some distressing on here because I want it to be rustic. But this will also get rid of any of those loose bristles and it will smooth out the piece. I am going to do the same technique on the left side, but I am only using worn leather in dark ages because it is darker on that side of the paper. I am going to seal the rest of this piece with Pureco's liquid wax, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a microfiber cloth and rub the wax into all of the paint, and you can see it deepening the color, and I'm just going to go in circles and really just rub and buff that in, and then I'm going to come back probably in about 30 minutes and buff it out again. For the top of this, I stripped it down and now I'm going to use hemp oil on it. This hemp oil is from Pureco. I'm going to use a cheap chip brush and generously apply the hemp oil. What will happen is it will sit on this piece for a few hours and you'll start seeing that there are some areas that will soak in and then there's some areas that won't. Generally, I allow my hemp oil to sit overnight, but what I'm going to do is apply it, wait a couple hours, wipe off the excess that hasn't soaked in, and then I will allow it to sit overnight, and then I'm going to buff it again. And what will happen is it's going to rejuvenate the wood. It is water resistant, and it is going to give it a beautiful, beautiful finish. This is the mahogany top. Okay everybody, this piece is done, this video is done, I will back up. I hope you enjoyed that. I promise I will try to be more present. This move has been crazy. Let me say hi. So hard to do. All right, say okay, until next time, happy creating, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in